I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, December the 16th, brought to you in part by Norbrook. Norbrook's generic pharmaceutical products are made to the same high FDA standards for safety, efficacy, and manufacturing as the name brand or pioneer products. For more information on Norbrook's generic products, go to norbrook.com. High wind advisory, I tell you what, it was bad all over the central part of the U.S. And other places too, but this weather has really been weird here in the last few weeks, as we really haven't even got into full-on winter yet, but the weather's acting like spring. Now, we're used to getting high winds like this down here in the southern plains like we had on Wednesday. In March and April and times like that, whenever we get the big temperature swings and the tornadoes like we saw last week that caused all the death and destruction out there in Kentucky and surrounding areas there. But man, it's really been weird here this week. I don't personally believe it's climate change or anything like that. It's just we've just got some weather patterns that are just kind of different, and we've got some severe drought in many places. It's getting very scary down here in the southern plains, in the Texas Panhandle, eastern New Mexico, eastern Colorado, southwest Kansas, and places. I mean, it is terrible dry. You get over into Oklahoma, especially the eastern half of Oklahoma, and it starts to look pretty decent. They still got some good lush wheat out there, but it's really getting bad. The northern plains have really not had any relief yet. They've had some snow, but it's not enough. But they've been struggling with drought here for quite a while, and they've sold off a lot of their cows. And we've sold off a lot of cows in a lot of places, and we're kind of on the downside of the cyclical pattern here, and we've gotten to where we've got really tight numbers of cows, and I think it's probably a lot tighter than what the USDA says on the census reports there. But they always seem like they're 1 to 2 years behind. But I think we've gotten really tight. I mean, as tight as we did back in 2013, and you know what that brought on, some record high prices for feeder cattle and fed cattle too. But and I think we could get close to some of those again. But we just got horrible winds. The wind in the central part of the United States closed at least 3 major packing plants down for their second shift. So, it's hurting business. When the smoke's not rolling out of all the stacks on those packing plants, we're not doing very good. We need to keep that harvest up and production up, and it's going to put the packers in a bind too, because they need that product. They promised that product and have got shipments to fill there, so they're going to have to try to step it up a little bit during the holidays, and that's a poor time to try to turn the change speeds up. But it's just a crazy day on Wednesday. I saw several things on social media. Saw a big metal stock tank rolling across the parking lot in Dodge City, and tore the hell out of a little Toyota pickup or some kind of a foreign pickup there. But that was pretty bad. People sending videos of being in, where the dust was blowing so bad, it sounded like they were sandblasting their pickup. But it was really bad. Hopefully it gets a little better. We're supposed to have high winds here through the latter part of this week, but hopefully it won't be as bad as it was on Wednesday. Some other news that come out on Wednesday morning is that China is back on taking Brazilian beef after 3 months of putting an embargo on that because of the BSE cases that all 3 of our big trade associations have been throwing a fit about here for the last 3 months here in these United States. And if China decided that Brazilian beef wasn't safe for their consumers, why did we continue to take it? Are we less safe than they are over there? I know they don't eat as much of it as we do, but that just seems ridiculous to me that we're not on the ball, looking out for things like that. And but they are going to once again start taking Brazilian beef shipments. And guess who was Brazil's biggest importer of Brazilian beef, or who did they export the most Brazilian beef to during that time when China wasn't taking any? Uncle Sam right here. So that's how much we're getting of that product. Brazil is the biggest beef exporter in the land, or in the world, and China is the biggest meat importer in the world. But for a short time there, while China was down from taking Brazilian beef, the United States was the biggest importer of Brazilian beef, and that just doesn't seem right to me. And I can see why a lot of people are very frustrated with that. Now, I realize that Brazil owned companies own two of our big four packers that monopolize the beef industry in this country, and they've got a lot of sway over what happens, and they're bringing that product in and further processing it. But it's still kind of frustrating there. But China is only going to be taking the boneless product that's under 30 months of age. Now, I don't know if Brazil is mouthing those things, or how they're doing that, or maybe they just pay off the inspectors like the way we've heard that they do. But I don't know if they really are stringent on that, as some of those Asian countries have been with us, back in the mad cow days that we had. But anyway, they're taking that product back again. And it seems like a coincidence that all of a sudden that product's safe for China, right at the same time that China is trying to retaliate against Australia for not sending their diplomats to the Olympics this winter, like we set the precedent for that. But Australia's decided they're not sending their diplomats over there. They are going to send their athletes, but not going to send their higher ups over there. China's not liking it. They're wanting to retaliate. The best way they know to do that is to cut off Australia's beef imports that they're getting there, and they're kind of doing one of those Chinese inspections, where they just leave it laying on the dock there until it rots. And we've all heard about that. Usually we hear about that talk with produce. But they're doing the same thing with Australia's beef there. But that's kind of interesting. Let's talk about the board on Wednesday. December live cattle futures down hard, down 177 to 135 even. We got 142 for some cattle last week, guys, but we've lost that. That's way back in the rearview mirror. Now our spot traded live cattle contract is at 135 even. We had some guys take as low as 134 for some cattle in Texas on Wednesday. I guess they were just wind blown and tired of fighting them. But serious numbers of cattle selling at 137, and our market last week was straight up 140. But man, how quick the guys are to give it back up after we fought tooth and nail to get as high as we did. February live cattle contracts down $1.72 at 136.57. All your back months on live cattle contracts down from 60 cents to 107. January feeder cattle down $1.15 at 163.42. March feeder cattle down $1.92 at 164.47. You think, well, corn must have been higher. No, corn was down 4.5 to 5 cents. With the nearbuy, we've lost the most active December, but the nearbuy at 5.85 a bushel. At your back months of feeder cattle futures, down 82 to down $1.85. Now, it's just unbelievable how our commodities were up earlier in the week and now down hard on Wednesday. Your Kansas City hard red winter wheat was down 26 cents on Wednesday. Of course, it's just been going back and forth on a rubber band here for the last few weeks, and just unbelievable how volatile that your Kansas City hard red winter wheat has been on Chicago Board of Trade. Fat cattle trade, we had some more trade, still not a lot, maybe 15,000 in the whole nation. In your 5-area feeding region wouldn't be that big. Iowa had confirmed sales on Wednesday of 2,700 head. Live sales from 137 to 138. Dress sales 217 to 220. Nebraska about 6,200 head. They haven't sold 10,000 for the week. Live sales 137 to 138 Nebraska, and dress sales from 217 to 220. Kansas didn't have a lot on Wednesday, but they had more than we thought on Tuesday. So they've sold about 4,000 for the week, but live sales at 138. But then Texas had 4,300 head confirmed on Wednesday from 134 to 137. I don't know who the 134 is, but it was mostly 136 to 137. You know, and the market in Texas was 140 last week, but that's $3 to $4 lower, guys. That's tough. How about your box beef cutout values? They were lower also. Choice cuts down 46 cents at 260.26. Selects down $1.35 at 247.45. Your slaughter, which it's going to have to be adjusted because I told you earlier that we lost the second shift on at least 3 major plants, or most of the second shift. So they're going to have to adjust this. But as of this morning, early when they call into the packers and get what they're estimating for the day, we were estimating 364,000 so far through Wednesday, and that'd be 3,000 less than last week, 8,000 more than the same week a year ago. I told you on our last visit that we're going to have a lot of replacement specials with bred heifers and bred cows here right at the end of the year. Guys try to take advantage of producers that are wanting to spend some money for tax reasons, and so we always see a lot of replacement female specials right at the end of the year, commercial for the most part, I mean. But it may be even more active this year. So I was, talking to some people about, guys usually wait, and if they need to buy a new tractor or trade in an old one and get a new one, they'll have some expense there, or a combine or a pickup or trailer or whatever they need at the end of the year to spend some money for tax reasons. Well, you can't get any of those things now. If you've tried to buy a new pickup in the last 6-8 months, you realize that there's none out there. Most of them are parked near where they're made, waiting on some chips from China or somewhere over there in Asia. And it's hard to believe that a big fancy $80,000 pickup sitting there waiting on a little microchip the size of a thimble before they can send it out. But our big tractors and equipments, they're waiting on the same things, guys, so they can't get them. Well, I guess you could prepay if they would allow you to do that, but they can't tell you within 2 years of when you might get one of them. So I think there are going to be several producers that come into these replacement sales, especially as tight as our cow numbers are right now. Our beef cow numbers are extremely, extremely tight. We have really cranked up the slaughter on beef cows over the last 6-8 months, and it's a good time to get in on them. Well, they had one of those in Bassett, Nebraska on Wednesday, ended up with about 3,000 head. I told you guys about it. The bred heifer sold well, and I talked to Shane Caxer there, and he told me, he said they had an in of replacement females there that was good as walked, and then they had quite a few average quality cows and heifers there too, which is not typical for there, right there in the Sandhills, and they usually have just extreme high quality. But he said they had some just average cows there, and then they had some of the really good ones, but not the biggest crowd because of the weather. Said actually it was pretty nice, early in the day, and then it got really windy, and then by the evening it was snowing and it was below 20 degrees, and they had tornadoes south of there in Nebraska, and just kind of a wild day, so didn't have a big crowd there. But the bred heifers sell mostly from 1575 to 1975. Dan Clapper had his big fancy heifers there weighing from 11.5 to 1,200 pounds, and those heifers that had not calved yet sold from $2,150 to $2,300. The extreme top of the sale was about 40 head of second calvers Second calf heifers there that were AI bred from Dan Clapper's herd there, they bring 25 and a quarter. The younger bred cows sell mostly from 1,700 to 2,150. They had some from Amelia, Nebraska there bring up to 2375. So, I mean, all in all, it'd be a premium sale for anywhere, but could have been even higher, and they could have sold the bulk higher if they'd have had a higher percentage of those real top qualities there in the meat of their offering. But and like I said, if the crowd would have been a little bit bigger, but you check your local schedule, there's going to be some bred cow and bred heifer sales in your immediate area, I guarantee you, because they're absolutely having them everywhere over the next 2 weeks. That's one way they're getting out of their feeder cattle sales. They're having those bred cow specials. But Springfield Livestock Marketing Center in Springfield, Missouri, they've got a special cow and bull sale coming up this Saturday afternoon, December the 18th, starting at 4 p.m. They've got 1,200 head already consigned. They're expecting more by sale time. Over 300 bred heifers. A lot of big, large consignments and dispersals of cows there at Springfield Livestock Marketing Center. So you can get to that sale or get a hold of them beforehand, get approved to bid on dvauction.com because they also broadcast with us every sale that they have. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV Auction, based on an 800-pound steer up through the middle 12 states. Late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 159.57, down another 98 cents. So it's sure coming off. You know, we lost our fat cattle rally, and we're getting close into the holidays here, and it's just coming off. But still big runs in your sales. So a lot of your sales having their last feeder cattle auction of the year here, you know, the first few days of this week. But OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, had 12,600 head for their 2-day sale there. And this is the last sale that will be held at OKC West. Was held on Wednesday, and they won't have another sale till the first week of the new year. But feeder steers sold mostly steady. Feeder heifers were sharply lower, $8 to $10 lower than last week, but last week their heifers were a lot higher. So that just goes to explain that. They just kind of come back, but you know, it was sure that much lower. Calves sold steady to $2 higher, except for, you know, those peewee calves that were so high last week all around. There were spots as much as $20 lower on some of those little 3-weight peewees. But did have a stick-out sale there in El Reno, Oklahoma. Sold 215 head of 910-pound feeder steers in El Reno at $160.50. Then they had several strings that I saw come through Cattle Market Central in the mid-8 weights, bring at around 165 or right at 165. Several of them bring that. So really good sale on your feeder cattle there, and your calves too in El Reno, and they're done now for the year. Talk about some other places. Dodge City, Kansas, Winter Livestock. That's what I told you about that stock tank that went rolling through the parking lot. I tell you what, that's dangerous business. But 4,100 head in Dodge City. That market overall was called steady to $1 higher from Federal State Market News. Stick out sale there was on some big calves. 99 head, 670-pound steers bring 171.50. Give you several top quotes from all around the different regions. How about Texhoma Livestock Exchange, Texhoma, Oklahoma, and that's in no man's land up there in the Panhandle, but on the west side. And Ashley Nolan there running the activities around there and really got that sale taken off. But he told me about 110 head of 903-pound yearling steers off the stalks and grass right around Texhoma there, bring $161. How about some markets out east? Cattlemen's Livestock, Harrison, Arkansas, and you think they just sell them one at a time? Not in Harrison. Harrison's a big sale. 128 head, 752-pound feeder steers bring $158. Go straight north of there, up into Missouri. Springfield Livestock Marketing Center that I told you is having the bred cow sale. They sold 130 head of 824-pound feeder steers there at $159. on Wednesday. But the top quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, and your Zactran top quote for the day, come out of Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota on their feeder cattle sale. 92 head, 925 pound steers at $165. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.